One of the big problems that we've been seeing is that a lot of the information on this website has been completely outdated. A lot of rotations, equipment options, and, character builds from 1.0. A website update for today. Lumi has been added to the database with her skills, review, and build information. She's a hybrid, and that doesn't really have a main DPS she can support properly, which puts her in a bit of a weird spot. Bit of a lower value character from what we're seeing that could be a bit better. You can also play her as a main DPS, but she's not that good at it. Probably not really a character that you invest in at the current state of the game unless you have quite literally nothing else to do with her. Her rotation is MIA and will be added soon. They're just finding out new stuff, right? They're being honest about the fact that, like, hey, we have no fucking clue what we're currently doing with the character, but we will have an idea very soon. We have some small adjustments to the tier list, mainly adding new tags. Bigger changes will have to wait for 2.0. And we also have added, ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited. We have added the double dragon rotation, the double Changelog tech, the 1x8 Changelog tech as an option for those who want to get more out of him. Finally, we have done it. After we wrote a 5-page essay for Chang Li, we were able to provide a second rotation for Jian. Thank you, God Almighty. It has finally happened. They've also added a new staff member, Sweat. Sweat joined us after nearly 2 months of Antilia are searching for someone who has the skill set we need. They'll be responsible for updating the older guides, the tier list, and helping with other TC stuff. Sweat, sorry that I ghosted you. I think you had like a comment on the tier list. I will respond to that soon. Finally, we have a direct line to the tier list. We can have our sweet little whispers in his ear and finally get Jian to tier 0 in a few weeks. The first fruits of Sweat's labor are already live as synergies and teams have been updated for every character. Among the things Sweat has on the to-do list is adding alternate, harder to use rotations. We are finally looking into adding more complex rotations for characters other than Chang Li. This means that I think a lot of characters will be able to maximize their damage potential, have better combos, better rotations that are actually getting you the most out of the game. And so what this means is, hey guys, they're finally cooking. They mainly cater to casual players, but then they're gonna have options for people that want to squeeze more DPS out of their favorites. What we're gonna be doing today is diving into all of those updates Prydwen has made to their tier list and deciding whether or not Sweat is doing a good job. Because from what I have read right here, bro is now responsible for everything. Bro is now one man guiding and leading and updating this entire fucking page. Now, every time I shit talk Prydwen, I guess I'm shit talking you. December 12th. This is the shortest changelog in Gacha Gaming. Added the expert tag to Yang Yang? My fucking man. Huh? Whoa. I am interested in this. I mean, hey. I think that Sweat saw the Zhang Li Yao Yang Yang team and he was like, that's kind of sick, but it's a little bit hard to play. But when you execute it properly, oh shit, it's good. Added the multi-role tag to Alto and Dan Jin. It just makes sense. They have outro buffs that buff another character, or they can just be a straight up DPS. Alto kind of sucks as a DPS because he has the worst single target in the game. That's why his rating is a bit lower, because there's just some content where he's fucking useless. They added the coordinated tag to Baija. Devs listened. The Baija now has the coordinated attack tag. And they added the heal tag to Spectral Rover. And they are now in the support category. You can reference the previous video. Bullying works in Gacha. Ladies and gentlemen, bullying works. If I had face cam on, you would see tears streaming from my eyes. You would see tears streaming from my fucking eyes. I swear to God. We're gonna start off with the DPS category. I think it's pretty clear by now that these characters simply do a bit more damage than the others for the average player, right? If you're just going through their rotations, you're not really doing anything special with them. In tier 0.5, we have Jian and Zhang Liao. My opinion is that Jian should honestly have the expert tag. I'm not joking. I think that Jian, if you do his 1x8 Changelog rotation, he is actually tier 0. I am not joking. I will die on that hill. But it is not as easy to play as the other two characters, because you don't have to really fucking do anything to get tier 0 performance on these guys. You just like kind of roll your face on the keyboard. And obviously there's a matter of crits. Jian is far less crit reliant. Jian doesn't have a lot of nukes in his rotation. A majority of his damage is a lot of ticks that go around. Crits aren't as important for him. When the expert tag allows you to go up a tier from very skillful play, why not add it to Jian when his damage is comparable or or even equivalent, and sometimes even higher than these two when you're able to use his tech properly. And that to me is the definition of the expert tag. Zhang Liao, on the other hand, he doesn't have that potential. I think he is a solid 0.5 because there's nothing you can really do with his on-field rotation to maximize his damage. Obviously, I could be wrong. There's some crazy tech, but he is one of the easier to play characters in the game where you kind of just go like, ba-ba. Quick swaps will potentially increase your damage, but it's not like quick swaps are going to be like the expectation in the main DPS category. He is one of the most comfortable to play, but he just doesn't have the level of optimization that would warrant the expert tag. He's just good. He's just reliable, but he doesn't have the damage of the other characters. That's just kind of like a fact of his kit. He's the best out of all of these for dual DPS. Let's also just say that for the average player. With his time slow and his swap cancellation ability, he's one of the best characters to learn dual DPS. And then you can like take off the training wheels and then experiment with these characters. Not Camellia, Jian and Jinxie and like Encore in it. Tier 1, we're gonna have Encore. If you just play her as a straight hyper carry with Sanhua, you don't really have the damage that these 4 characters do. I think tier 1 is like a good spot. As you get more and more of her sequence notes in S6, it's like cool, so whatever. And you know, it typically works out well. Havoc Rover, they're S3, they're in the same spot. They have good burst damage, but if you on field with Havoc Rover, you're kind of like not having the best time, in my opinion, because they don't feel that great when you're just like using Dark Surge and then just basic attacking and stuff. Once they're S6, there's a much better argument for them moving up in the tier list because Havoc Rover's sequence nodes are some of the most broken in the game. 25% crit rate, guys, is more than a 4-cost Echo. They have a lot of stats that they are missing currently, and when they do get them, their overall power level is going to significantly increase. You're going to see them shift up as we unlock more and more of those nodes. Calcharo is just too hard to play to be like really effective in the hands of most people. Shisha is also very single target oriented, not as good as other characters on the list. Ling Yang is, we could discover more of Ling Yang's potential, but he has been at close to the bottom of tier lists for basically all of mankind. Alto, he's at the bottom because he is only single target. I don't think he should be in the main DPS category. I think he should move back to hybrid. He has pretty decent concerto energy. It's not as fast as other characters, but he is really good when you're able to like swap between them due to like how delayed his damage could be and how it can persist off field. And so we have the hybrid category over here. We got Sanhua, who is kind of like at the top because she's the best buffer for basic attackers. Her buffing ability is probably the best out of all the people on here in terms of how fast you're getting concerto. But guys, this is the hybrid category, and we've confirmed this multiple times. This character does no fucking damage. If I'm able to go naked Sanhua with Overture and get the same performance, I think that maybe it should be a little bit lower. Her damage is just so insignificant to the contribution that these teams just would have been better if they had a person that was doing more damage. This is where it just gets like a little bit funky, especially when we're factoring in how little damage Sanhua is doing. It's like, we're kind of like sharing the category a bit here. The fact of the matter is that all 4 of these characters do a ton more damage than Sanhua. When all this damage is coming in and they're doing it off field and you're not like interrupting your main DPS's rotation, it's like they're doing a lot more damage than Sanhua. They're doing it over a larger period of time because she does burst damage. If HP does go up in the tower, like has been happening for a bit, there's a potential here, right, for these characters to be bumped up a bit. We were having a conversation with Mr. Dicktone about how one of the ideas for making the TOA game mode better would be to reduce the enemy HP, but then make them do more damage or attack more frequently. That would just make Sanhua stronger in the meta while nerfing all of these guys. I've made a take that some people found a little bit weird. I call these characters essentially coordinated attackers. They're a bit like damage over time. You activate their stuff and they don't deliver all of that burst up front. They'll deliver it over time through their coordinated attacks. And what that means is that when you're in a situation where the bosses are all having lower HP and they're not doing as much and they take lower time to kill, that means that all of these characters that are doing this have immediately lost value. And that just makes Sanhua stronger because she doesn't have any damage to do over time. Do you guys get like where the HP numbers are having like a big role in the balancing or the strength of characters?
No, God! No.
If you just go through your entire rotation, right, and you slay the boss while Mortifi or Yinlin or Jejis still have like 10 seconds plus on their coordinated attacks, oh, that's literally wasted damage that didn't apply at all. And that's like wasted potential. So that's just like some food for thought when you hear about HP going up or down in the tower. The more HP a boss has, the better these characters actually are. Then we got Changli. Every time I've played this character, I feel like I don't end up having a good time. Every time I play this character, I feel like I'm either either making a mistake or I'm not playing optimally, and I feel like I'm not even that bad with her. Despite that, I will recognize her damage potential in certain comps. I don't think I'm bad with her. Maybe I can validate that, but it's like, it just feels like I'm never getting the full potential out of her. And I feel like I'm pretty decent at the game if I'm doing like 1x8s and then like getting like, you know, sub 1 minute clears on her. And it's just like, hey, I'm building up to 4, I'm doing the forte stack, and then I'm liberating and then doing it again. And it's like, all right, what's going on, guys? I'd love to see what like tier 0's looking like, but she's a bit of a problem. Danjin, sub DPS. Guys, she has some of the best concerto in the game, but the problem with this character is that she is a little bit funky to play and her buffs aren't that good, if we're frankly being honest. You would think that with a 23% havoc damage amp that she would be a good partner with Camellia, but Sanhua is just better than her. And the only other character that she can reasonably buff on the roster is Havoc Rover. S6 Lumi at well, that's not very good. Frankly, that's not very good. If I'm being honest, it kind of sucks. That's kind of bad. Just so you know, if you play Yang Yang well, she's now in tier 1.5. And then we also got Janjin over here with her grouping and her relatively slow concerto generation, kind of causing a problem with her in the sub DPS category. I can totally see where her weaknesses are. She's actually very good at S6. I assume that people aren't really using the shield on her, and that's why we don't have the tag. They might be making the argument that like using her forte circuit is the equivalent of griefing. But if that's how they're judging her without ever using her forte circuit because of how long it takes, then potentially this area makes sense, and the lack of tag over there is kind of like self-explanatory. We got Yanwu at the bottom with the coordinated tag. Brother, where is the shielding tag? He's got that big fatty on his S4 that gives him a shit ton of shielding to the team. We're rating them at S6. It lasts for 10 seconds and it can be very efficient for people. Supports. This makes sense. They're the two best supports in the game. She's faster, but gives less buffs. She's slower, but gives more buffs. Boom. Then we have these two, Aija and Yohu. She busts coordinated attacks and does some interesting things, has some interesting comps, has some on-fielding damage capability because she gains like 7,000% critical stats on her sequence nodes. But again, she just doesn't really have the team right now to really make use of it. What Yohu needs is a coordinated attacker that buffs basic attacks. Bro buffs heavy, bro buffs skill, bro buffs liberation. Nobody buffs the basic attacks that she does the most of her damage with, and she directly buffs coordinated attacks. So it's like she just doesn't have a team. She buffs coordinated attacks with her outro skill, but she doesn't have anybody to buff her in those teams. What ends up happening is that her teams all suck. She's kind of just higher up here because there's not a lot of healers in the game, and she has pretty okay healing. Baija just feels like molasses to play. She doesn't feel that great. She's got limited coordinated attack abilities, but playing her is one of the least appealing experiences in the game. But she also has a lot of potential in mono Glacio team comps. Everyone knows Carlotta is probably Glacio. I would put about 99.99% Glacio. She has an ice gun. And so, guys, we might think about the Carlotta team running Baija for that 12% Glacio damage boost on S6. Guys, okay. Sweat, come on, man. I understand they're a healer now, but I don't think they're this bad. I do not think that they are this bad. I think that Spectral Rover is at least tier 2 or maybe tier 1.5 because this is one of the characters where they just feel like kind of smooth to play. Their time stop, despite not being a damage amp, kind of just feels nice. Okay, this is the right way to use Spectral Rover. They can extend stagger time. And guys, you deal additional damage to the boss when they are staggered, when they do not have a bar anymore. And so when you're able to basically integrate that into your team's rotation, you're extending the time they're taking additional damage. If we're fully leveraging that possibility, perhaps this character has a lot more potential. We're still seeing Tauchi down here at the bottom. Guys, for most players, it's like she is a little bit too slow for them to use properly. She is the queen of holograms, though. I would maybe consider the option of kind of bumping these two up a little bit. I don't think they need to be 2 full steps below because Tauchi gets better the worse you are at the game. Let's frankly be honest. She makes your team some of the most tanky on the server. And what that means is that as your skill is lower and you're getting hit more, she kind of does her job better. And if we're thinking about the average player who might like be kind of sucky, that would kind of imply that they're higher rated. She's definitely at the bottom of the list for the best players in the game because they're never getting hit in the first place, right? And so her tankiness and ability to mitigate damage is not as important. Overall, I'd have to say that this tier list, obviously, it's not as updated. I did not actually do my full tier list updates in the previous Prydwen video because I was so upset at some of the actual baseline information that we were seeing. So now, the final litmus test, the final validation that Prydwen is now turned a new leaf. Has Prydwen finally turned a new leaf? We are on the Gian page, ladies and gentlemen. We are on the Gian page. Guys, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of feel like crying right now. I had so many hopes going into this. I thought, you know, I thought we could write 2 sentences. I thought we could write 2 sentences for the character. 2 sentences. Just 2. You know what, Prydwen? I'm gonna take matters. I'm gonna take matters into my own hands. I'm gonna make the write-up for you right now, and I hope you integrate it and give me credit, okay? I'm just gonna write it out right now, okay? Jinxie's signature is a great choice for all damage-focused Broadblade users. It provides a massive critical rate main stat and a general attribute damage buff with a boost to resonance skill damage that synergizes with Gion's rotations. This weapon only gets better with Gion's S1 as he will gain multiple charges of the ability, okay? It took me quite literally 1 minute to do it. It took me 1 minute to write this down. 1 minute. Maybe I'll grammatically correct it a little bit. I'll do some revisions. It's just that easy, folks. You just write down a couple of words and it's complete. We could have done this 20 patches ago at this point. We're 3 weeks away from 2.0 and it's still not here. I'm gonna copy and paste this in your Discord. This will be the only message I ever send. We can't keep doing this, man. Let's just stop mincing words, ladies and gentlemen. Prydwen, I have just posted it in your Discord. It is there. It is right there. Please add it to the website. I beg you. I did it for you. Please just add it to the website. It's been months, literally months. I don't know how much more I can take at this point. If you're a fan of pushing your characters to the limit and want to get more out of your Gian, you can go for the double dragon combo instead. This combo is harder to pull off, takes good timing and coordination, but when executed correctly, deals more damage in a shorter time. As the name suggests, executing this combo will allow Gian to have 2 Lance of Changelog dragons active and hitting the enemy at the same time. This can be achieved by alternating between using the first part of the Lance of Changelog, then at a specific moment, interrupting the animation with a dodge cancel. Doing this results in Gian executing his Lance of Changelog faster, enough so that he can start the next one while the hitbox of the previous is still on the field. The downside of this combo is that if you don't time your dodge cancels just right, you end up cutting the Lance of Changelog short, losing a portion of the 8 hits it usually delivers. You'll need to practice and time your cancels to ensure each attack fully executes without any loss. Merely by that definition alone. Doesn't that warrant the expert tag? Expert tag? Expert tag? I am so happy to see this. Just from their calcs, it's 12% more damage. That's a lot. That's a lot, right? 12% damage is a lot of damage. Give him the expert tag if the other rotation gives him 12% more damage. 12% is a lot. Please. It's a shorter rotation too. It does more damage in 1 second less time. This is the definition of the expert tag. Come on, let's just do it. Put him in tier 0.5, add the expert tag to him, and then we can just say he's finally tier 0 because he does the damage to be tier 0. If they drop him to tier 1 with the expert tag, I am going to burn this website to the ground. He is demonstrably tier 0. Believe me, he is demonstrably tier 0. Ladies and gentlemen, Prydwen's website as a whole has definitely gotten some updates. Obviously, a couple of speed bumps on their journey to full completion. I've helped them out a little bit to resolve some of those issues. And hopefully in the future, with Sweat now on the team, we're going to be seeing a lot more progress and a lot more complete information across the website. I genuinely do believe that Prydwen has turned a new leaf, a new chapter in their book. And the overall quality of the website looks like it is going up. But you know what? There are still a couple more things we can fix. Once Gian has the expert tag or gets placed into tier 0, I'm going to be happy. But with that, hope you all enjoyed this overview, and I will see you all next time. Peace out.